Welcome back to another episode of the Cast. Question for you.
Answer.
When all is said and done, how do you feel like you'll measure your life? Everyone, welcome back to the Cast. I'm with Jon Richards, and so we're just in the middle of our conversation. You guys can just follow along. So
Awesome. Yeah, so it's a lot of dependent on how well the baby sleeps. I found like if you have a good sleeping baby, life seems to flow smooth. But this one's probably our worst sleeper.
Oh, really?
So far.
The fifth.
So she's she's trouble, but we love her, and she's been a good addition to the family. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
What do you have? Boys, girls?
We have 4 girls and 1 boy.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the boy land?
Number 2.
Okay.
He's 8 years old now and getting into sports and stuff. So it's fun to play around with him.
That's cool. Was he hoping for a brother, or did
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we did like the little, pop thing that shoots the confetti out. And when it was pink, his head just hung down and he walked back inside. He was so disappointed.
Yeah, that's funny. My son, because I've got 3 girls and a boy, and when he was young, probably 8, 7, 8, he really wanted us to adopt a twin. He was like, just find a boy that was born on the same day as me.
Like, that's going to be tricky.
He's like, I don't care where he's from. I don't care, what he looks like. Just find me a twin. It's like, well, how do we do that? Just find somebody that was born on the same day as me. So, but he's wanted a brother. So you kind of end up being dad and brother. And then thankfully he's got a lot of boy cousins that he hangs out with and good uncles and such. So, oh, that's awesome. Where's your wife from?
She's from the East Mill Creek area. I went to Olympus High School.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys into as far as like activities and such?
Oh,
as a
man.
family?
Yeah, I guess with young kids, we basically do them most of our time. Yeah. But if we have free time, we like to hike and travel and eat good food. And
cool.
Love to, go up to Montana in the summers and play on the lake up there and just
cool.
Make memories with the kids.
Is that like, do you guys have a place up there in Montana? Or?
Yeah. So my dad actually has the place, so it's not technically mine, but every summer we go up there for like 10 days, and I grew up going there every summer of my life. So when school would get out, our parents would be waiting to pick us up. We'd get in the car and we'd stay there all summer long.
Wow.
And then, so I didn't even do a summer in Salt Lake growing up. Yeah. Kind of weird. I've spent like 5 years of my life in Montana.
That's cool.
Based on how it adds up. But yeah, it's a beautiful spot. It's just across the border of Montana. There's a lake there called Hebgen Lake, which is just north of Henry's Lake. And if you know Island Park, it's like 20 minutes north of Island Park.
Oh, cool.
And my great grandfather started going there generations ago, and some of the first people to really build cabins up there. And then now, because of that, there's probably 30 or 40 cabins that are descendants of him that have been built up there. And so a lot of
Henry's Lake?
Hebgen Lake.
Hebgen, okay.
Mm-hmm. A lot of family. And so, in fact, my cousin Jacob, who I started Nomatic with.
Jacob Durham?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are cousins.
There
I was going to ask, because it's been so long since we've chatted. I forgot the relation, but you guys are cousins.
Yeah, so I'm actually cousins with his mom. So me and Jacob are first cousins once removed.
Okay.
So I grew up in a family where I'm the youngest of 10 kids, and my dad is the youngest of 6 kids. And so there was this generation gap where my dad was like 45 years old when I was born. And so I grew up with a lot of my cousins' kids because of the age gap there.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the Richards here in Utah?
No, I think of my siblings, there's 6 of them here in Utah.
Okay.
4 are outside. And then there's a ton of other Richards in Utah. Some of them are related to, some we aren't.
I grew up next to some Richards in Sandy.
Yeah.
A little bit, and then there was Richards back east when we lived back east in Maryland, and then so the Durham family, they're cousins.
Yeah, so Jacob's mom is a Richards, but she married a Durham.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did he grow up here in Utah as well? Did you guys grow up together and like playing as cousins?
I should say he spent the first while, like until probably his junior year of high school, he was in Arizona.
Okay.
His parents got called as mission presidents to Tokyo at the same time that my parents were mission presidents in St. Louis, Missouri. So during high school, both of us moved at the exact same time
No way.
to be with our parents, and then we both moved back and finished high school in Utah.
Okay. My parents were called as mission leaders when I was going into my junior year of high school to the DC North Mission. So I did my last 2 years of high school there and then left on my mission early.
Yeah.
I didn't know each of your parents did that. And we just got back this morning. I was up at 2:30 Mountain Standard Time this morning to catch a flight from St. Louis.
Oh, my goodness.
To Utah. We were there doing a Conquer Hunger event yesterday, and we were a little light on our support to set up the event. They take a lot to set up, and then once they're set up, like, people show up and we pack like thousands of meals in about an hour, and everyone's like, wow, that was like no time, but it's a lot of prep time. We didn't have enough we didn't have volunteers. We had a few people get sick here at Mountain Ops. They couldn't go, and so I actually reached out to the mission president of the St. Louis, Missouri mission, and come to find out we knew each other. And he sent 4 of his elders down to help us. They were there with us for 4 hours yesterday setting up. So it's cool. So you live there in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
You're what, sophomore?
So let's see. It would have been when I was 13 to 16 years old. So it was 8th, 9th, and 10th grade.
What years was that?
2000 to 2003, I believe.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so my parents overlapped with your parents as well on mission time frames. They were there at 98 to 2001 in DC, and I left on my mission 2000. So
yeah.
Did you go on a mission?
I did. I served in Argentina, Cordoba.
Okay.
Right in the center of the country.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff. What are your parents up to now?
So they actually live here in Kaysville.
No way.
Yeah. So they're let's see, they're in that Ivory Homes just east, I think, of Cherry Hill. There's like some townhomes right there, like just Bradley Davis golf course there.
Huh.
Like they are right next to that golf course.
My mom lived right there. Like I wonder if they were in the same ward.
Maybe.
My dad passed away a couple of years ago, and she just moved about 6 months ago, or about a year ago. But yeah, they lived right on, I don't know what hole that was on the golf course there, but
yeah, they went to that church across the street there.
Same.
And they moved there, I think, in like 2000, probably 2011.
What brought them up this way?
Just they had this big home that they'd raised 10 kids in. It was just like too much, and the lawn was big and took a lot of maintenance and stuff. So they sold that home in Federal Heights at a bad time in the market. I think they sold it in like 2009 or something. And then they just downsized and wanted a smaller townhome. They wanted to be up north more because they like to go to their cabin. So it's like cuts in, almost an hour off the drive. And so yeah, it's been good for them to have like less space and just not have to worry about taking care of the lawn and stuff, because they're getting a little older. They're in their 80s now. Yep. They're definitely going to watch this, so they're going to get mad at me for calling them old.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, parents, they're always your biggest fans. Yeah. But man, that sounds like a fun thing you did in St. Louis. If you want to like lean back and take a nap or something,
I am honestly,
we can just turn the cameras off.
I'm really good, and I was excited for you to come up here. For those listening, John and I met each other, I don't know, has it been 6 or 7 years ago or something?
Probably.
You guys were putting together a mastermind. I don't know if you still do that, but it was they were a little distant from me, so I was kind of the only guy coming from up north, it seemed like, but came to a few of them. Awesome group you guys had put together. Corey Stevens was on that list, but I remember I was excited to meet him, but he was never at the events I came to, and then I think he, vice versa, but we had him on the podcast a couple months ago. And
oh, awesome.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, but you guys had a really good group. It seemed like most of them were from down south, and it seemed like there's a lot of entrepreneurs down that way, kind of Sandy to Utah Valley type.
Yeah.
Are you guys still in that same location?
It was a good group. We kind of have slowed down the meetups that we've done with that group. Yeah. I would say some of them moved on, and like Corey sold Taft, and Connor had kind of sold the company he was working on, still doing Mission Belt, I guess. But
that's right.
There's a good group there of guys that just and some girls, but we just kind of stopped meeting just because it just fizzled out. But in terms of our Nomatic itself, like we still have that office in Sandy.
Okay.
It's still our headquarters there. And yeah, we have the top floor of that building, and it feels like a lot of space. And so we're always just like, when do we move to a building that we have like our own warehouse space or something else to, so I don't think it's our forever home, but it's working for now. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, so I haven't even introduced who you are as far as a Nomatic, one of the co-founders. What's your role there at Nomatic?
It changes a lot.
Does it? Yeah. Kind of happens with founders, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I've literally worn every hat in the company except for the accounting and finance side, because Jacob, my partner's a CPA and knows numbers, and so I've always leaned on him as a crutch. But in terms of everything else, like started out in customer service, and then I figured out how to do the paid ads, so I was doing all the Facebook ads for the business. Really? And then after that, we hired help there, so I ended up doing some of the product development side of things. So I was sourcing products overseas and actually designing physical products. And then after I did that for a while, I transitioned to more of like a marketing leader, where I helped, with social channels and other things to try to grow those. And so I've done a little of everything the past little while. I've been focused mostly on business admin stuff, so trying to do like a fundraise. And then I've been heavily involved with product over the last year and a half. Again, I kind of stepped back into that role and led the product team, which is extremely fun. But yeah, right now I'm like exploring what to do next.
What to do next in Nomatic
within the company?
Yeah.
Because I feel like my skill sets are different. Like I'm someone who tends to think outside the box, to just challenge the status quo and just try to think of creative, innovative ways to do things in new ways. And so wherever I'm
across the board, product to marketing to
campaigns, product, whatever that is. And so my skill set's a little unique in that I kind of thrive when I'm placed over projects and I can own them and really drive value for whatever it is that I'm building. I'm a builder, and I like to do it from ground zero and get something up and going. But if I'm placed in leadership roles where I have people accountable to me and I'm following up with them and checking in and being more of a manager, I tend to start like breaking down because it's not activating my creative juices that need to be building and creating something all the time. And so the best thing we've done is just kind of put me on projects. So I've run Kickstarter campaigns for us in the past. So I kind of just put myself where I'm needed. Yeah. One area we've been talking about recently is international sales, just jumping in on that and really trying to grow value for the business there. And I don't know, honestly, I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the future for the company, but right now I've just been so heads down trying to focus on building the business in financial ways, like raising capital or getting a loan for the business or whatever it may be been focused on a lot of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. What have you loved the most? Like, what's the project or the opportunity that's been of most interest or, brought you the most satisfaction?
That's a good question. I love the creative side of just trying to figure out new things. Like, I had a ton of fun. I think it was probably like 2 years ago. I hired a video guy. You probably actually know Luke Yates. Did you? Yeah. So we hired Luke.
Love Luke. I was going to say he served here. He worked here right before his mission.
Yeah.
And he and I had some really good hearts to heart, about mission and such. And so I went to his farewell and homecoming and good guy.
Such a good guy. And it's rare for me to find someone that I work really well with, like I did with Luke, that I can just jive with and we can spit ideas off each other and quickly move fast. And so we had this fun little stint where we created a bunch of social media content and he kind of just followed me around, and we did flights. We booked flights. We did trade shows and stuff where I'm interviewing people. And so we did a bunch of that content and tried to just kind of hack the social algorithm and figure out how to go viral. And we ended up pulling it off. Like, we had one video get 18 million views and just had a ton of success doing that with him. And it was a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun doing that. When you asked, like, what was my favorite? It was just like, that's me being able to be completely carefree, have a blast just talking about whatever I want to talk about. And, sometimes you get into these problems you're trying to solve, and it can just kind of be like discouraging because you're just hitting your head against the wall. But for that short window was like, I'm having a blast. So this is a lot of fun. And, you know, not that I would want to do that forever, but like just
I was going to
solving
ask what caused you guys to stop doing that, or did somebody else start, you know, take your place doing that, or was it not returning what you wanted, or?
Yeah, the return is an interesting question because it almost costs nothing other than just time. And a editor like Luke to make those videos. It was the fact that we couldn't track what the value was. That was a big piece of it. It's like it's impossible to know what value this is driving. Another piece was the fit with our brand. Our brand is very premium, and it's like, you know, what works on social sometimes is like this more like, you know, viral, like creative hooks or talking to the camera or doing wild things. And sometimes I think, especially for like our marketing team and creative team, they're kind of like, this doesn't mesh well with what the assets we're trying to put out, which feel more like polished and premium. Okay. And our brand, you know, but for me, it was never a question of like, does this fit? It was always just like, what will do well. Yeah. And I guess I didn't really care about the perception of the people that are viewing it a lot of times, because it was just like, as long as it's related to travel or related to something that has to do with our brand, I don't, you know, I felt like it's still valuable to be showing the founder doing fun things like that and testing products and running them over with cars or lighting them on fire, whatever it is. Like, we just did fun things, and it was a blast to film that content and do that kind of stuff. So
what did you find? What caused some to go viral? Was there a secret? And I'm asking because we're trying to figure some of that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even on my own social, I've got one post, and it's not even of me, but it's getting about 2 million views a day right now.
Holy cow.
And it's a really touching post, and the engagement, it's like a million likes and like, I don't know, 600,000 shares. It's of my sister hugging a soldier. She's there for her son, but she notices this soldier is not being tapped out, so he's just standing there because he has nobody there to tap him out, to receive him. So he's standing at attention, and she just goes over, and her daughter just happens to capture her asking, "Can I give you a hug?" And this soldier just like falls into her arms, and she pats him on the cheek, not even knowing she was being recorded. And then her daughter-in-law posted it on TikTok, and within a few weeks there's 25 million views. And then they shared the video with me, and I posted it to Instagram last week, and the first day it's like 1.5 million views, and I'm like, what is going on? And
yeah, but
people just, they loved seeing someone doing something good for another, and she's like, I'm so glad you can just see the back of my head, because I don't want this attention, but you can see the soldier. So that went viral, but it has nothing to do with like Mountain Ops, What did you find that was, what was helpful for you guys?
Yeah, it seems like anything I would share may still be relevant. I'm not sure. I haven't been in the game for a couple of years of making that type of content, so it's tricky for me to say this is still what works. Changing, yeah. I can tell you that like the first 3 seconds is the most important part of the video, and you've probably heard those things like the hooks are that was what makes or breaks the video. And so you have, maybe even less than 3 seconds. You probably have 2 seconds actually to capture someone's attention. And so figuring out how to engage. And so we would usually start it with like the camera right on my face, and it's usually close up, and I'm saying something like,
so you just got to show your beautiful face. No, and then you
no, just the fact, like, we found that when you have a human, if you're showing like a product or something, it's like swipe. But people want to engage with humans. They want to like hear people jabber and ramble. And I think like at the beginning of the video, showing a face early with like some specific question, like, you won't believe what this, or some specific thing, like, we found this hack on TikTok that's doing this, we're going to test it out, like something to just engage with them, to say, oh, I want to watch and see how this plays out.
What's the outcome?
So that's probably the next thing, is like, often what we would say at the beginning would be a hook to say, you should watch this to the end to see if we do it. Like, our best performing video ever was I'm going to see if I can sneak a frozen water bottle through TSA security.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. A lot of people have seen it. In fact, I've been stopped in public and someone's like, I saw a video of you
Yeah.
sneaking a water bottle. And
I
that's when
can't
you
remember the
know.
outcome. What was it?
So yeah, it's like, you can take water through TSA as long as it's in solid form. So it's, it's ice, but like the people just got so mad that I didn't like, there were so many questions. It was like, why, like, how is this useful? So that would probably be the third thing is you have something in the video where you either say something wrong or you make a mistake or, it's like something that's out there that's like, a lot of people do this on purpose and they'll just say something like they'll say it the wrong way just to get attention. But that's what drives the comments and that's what drives the virality is when like another video we got millions of views on, I specifically say that TSA pre-check costs like $200 or something. And I didn't know what it cost, but I'm filming and I'm on the spot. And I'm like, I raced my cousin through TSA security. He went through with TSA pre-check. I went through with just regular and I beat him through. And I said, it's not worth paying $200 if I can make it through. I was just like joking
and
at like,
everyone's like, it's not.
It's only $85, you idiot. And they just get so mad. I'm like, wow, like that made that video go viral just because I said it wrong. So I would say those are three like things we learned is having a hook in the first 2 to 3 minutes that's super engaging, gets them to watch to the end somehow, and then having something where there's some conclusion at the end of like, did I make it through TSA? We're doing this race. Who's actually going to win the race? We're trying to find this person or do this thing, and at the end of the video, it's like the conclusion of did they actually pull it off or not? Or, I'm going to put this laptop in this bag. We're going to drag it behind a car. And at the end, let's check and see. So now you're getting them to watch longer. So it's just playing to the algorithm of saying, how can we get comments on this? How can we get them to watch as much as possible? And what's engaging enough to get them to just stay at the very beginning? And if you can combine those elements, I think at least a couple of years ago, that's what was working the very best for us for those types of videos.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how did Nomatic get started? What were you doing prior to Nomatic?
So I was at BYU in an entrepreneurship program, and they were teaching us in one of our classes about Kickstarter. Okay. And I left BYU and took a job in sales, and I had been there about 2 or 3 months just making sales calls at Bamboo HR. And my cousin and I went to a jazz game together. He was like, let's start a business. Let's do something together. I'm like, I totally agree. What should we do? And I told him about Kickstarter. He had never heard about it. And he started researching it. And he's like, dude, this business model is super smart. I mean, you get your customers up front. You get the cash up front. So then you can go manufacture with next to no money invested in the company. The risk is like zero, right? It's like worst case scenario, you've spent 100 hours building a campaign page and it falls on its face and you don't get your funding and you've invested some time and energy into that. But like for us, we researched what did well on Kickstarter, and we found that wallets historically had always funded on Kickstarter really easily. And, some of them 10,000, 20,000, some of them were getting in the hundreds of thousands. And we're like, let's just try that. So we were in his basement of his house, and we were messing around with his wife's like little sport band that she went running with. And we just wrapped it around some cards. So it was just like an elastic that we wrapped around cards. We ripped this piece of paper and put it through the center of the cards. And we found that when you pulled that little piece of paper, it like ejected the cards out, right? So like, this is a cool little like feature of.
So no, like, oh, I want to be in the wallet business or the bag business. It was like, what's working on Kickstarter? It was just research based?
No, yeah. I wish I was like, oh, I have this business plan and we need to go. No, it was just like, let's see if we can figure out how to make a buck on the side with using Kickstarter. We're going to launch our own product. Let's create it ourselves. So this is the like pull tab wallet that we created. Yep. So yeah, you just pull the tab, the cards pop out. It gives you easy access to 4 cards, and then there's a little pocket back here for cash. Anyway, we launched this on Kickstarter with a goal to raise $10,000, and we were on pace to do that in the 30-day campaign window that we had set. But then we found someone that knew how to do Facebook advertising, and he taught us how to do that. He started running the campaign for us, and we went from like maybe we'll hit $10,000 in this campaign to like, dude, we're doing 5,000 a day.
Wow.
And so we quickly were able to raise 170,000 within the 30-day campaign window.
All through raising on product sales.
Yeah, it's basically a pre-order.
Yeah.
Kickstarter terms it like a reward for a donation because they want to protect themselves legally. So technically, someone gives us $20, and in return, we give you this reward of a wallet. But it's essentially just a pre-order. And so we sold about 6,000 wallets on that campaign.
Wow, that's awesome.
And it was like, all right, this is awesome. Like, we now have a business, right?
Yeah.
And it was super profitable.
What was it called?
It was called Basics Products was the name of the company. This was called the Basics Wallet. And yeah, I mean, the story goes like we got a cease and desist on the name Basics, and I found out there's like 1,600 trademarks on that
Basics.
name, and it just kept getting shut down. And so we're like, all right, we got to switch our name. And that's when we changed to Nomatic. And we were doing that at the same time we were developing the travel bag, our first bag that we launched. So the name kind of fit with where we were headed in the future.
And why travel bags? Was there research on Kickstarter for that as well, or?
Yeah, it was a little bit of like what performs well on Kickstarter. But it was also like we wanted to be an everyday carry company, stuff that you carry with you every day. So we launched a wallet, then a notebook, then a watch, and then it was like, what else do you carry with you every day? And like bags was like the natural next step. But yeah, bags had done well on Kickstarter, and we had seen multi-million-dollar campaigns. We had only been funding a couple $100,000 per campaign. So we were having some success, but we were seeing these really big ones. And we figured out on that travel bag campaign, again, Facebook ads just clicked, and we were able to do like $3 million in pre-orders within 60 days.
Wow.
And that's when we shifted to be like, all right, we're a travel brand now. We're going to focus on bags. And we've done less of the everyday carry stuff now.
The notebook and the watch and that, or they
still sell. Yeah. I mean, we're probably selling like 50 wallets a day still. So it's not like insignificant, but a bag at a $400 price point is much more than a $20 wallet. So in terms of like scalability of the company, bags have allowed us to go much further.
Still doing Kickstarters, or is with any of your campaigns?
Yeah, I would say they've slowed down a little bit. It's just been a direct correlation with how well Facebook ads perform on Kickstarter. They just haven't done as well for us. And so the last couple campaigns, we've done a couple $100,000 here and there. Yeah. We're going to launch one hopefully in the next 3 months here. So we have a new travel line we're working on that I'm excited about. And so we'll still use the platform occasionally. Yeah. But it's more just like when we drop a new collection, a new, completely new category for us. But if we're making variations on stuff we already have or new colors and stuff, we just drop those on the website. So
do you and Jacob dive into like product design on the backpack, or is that in your guys' wheelhouse, or just something fun to?
No, we've always done it. In fact, the first bags that we designed, we did that ourselves. We had like a designer help us with what it looked like on the outside in the very beginning, but then we just kind of took that and ran with it. And so all of the actual like product development and prototyping we did on our own. And we've launched hundreds of products now. We even have a full line of apparel that we've launched for travel, luggage. So a lot of packing accessories, things like that. So we have a full, like, when you look at Nomatic's website, I mean, you've got the bags and the everyday carry, the luggage, apparel. So it's pretty full. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but a full offering of like travel, good gear for travel.
Yeah. What's your filter to decide like what you add to the lineup, or what you're like, no, we just like, we should stay focused, or how do you guys decide?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we're focused on building products that help people who live life on the move. And life on the move for us is defined as someone who is actively becoming the best version of themselves. So they're usually building something, whether that's a company or a program or something. They're usually commuting to work. Sometimes they're traveling for work, or sometimes it's a passion project or a vacation even. And so they're just moving, and they're just constantly moving. And that movement is kind of the word we've grabbed onto. And so we develop products for that, people who are on the move. So we have commuter bags, we have everyday backpacks that you may not travel with, we have slings, things like that. So we have products that basically, if you're talking about living life on the move, we have something for that. Yeah.
That's cool. How did you come up with the Nomatic name?
Nomatic was a name. I wish it was like a really inspiring story, but it's pretty lame. 1,500 domains, a list we got. We narrowed it down to any domains that were 7 letters or less, and then we looked at ones that jived with a travel vibe, and we narrowed it down to a couple, and Nomatic came out on top.
Huh.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
super boring, but I'm so glad we chose it because it's been the perfect fit of a name for the brand.
And it comes from the nomad.
Yeah, like the idea of like someone who's like, a nomad that's like traveling and moving and constantly, doesn't really have a home, but just kind of like wandering on the like building whatever it is they're building. Yeah.
Is that you guys? Are you kind of that way, or was?
I mean, I have a home.
Yeah. I mean,
Luckily.
with growing up and stuff, were you kind of the guy that was always exploring things? Or
Yeah,
was
I love travel. I've done a ton of it.
Growing up with 10 kids in your family?
Yeah.
Did you guys travel a lot
No,
with 10
never.
kids?
Never. In fact, we would go to Montana and back.
Yeah.
Like, I think I did one trip to California for like Disneyland, and I did like one trip to New York with my mom for like a senior trip. But otherwise, like there was very little travel.
Yeah.
I think like right before my mission, some travel started kicking off. I did like a trip to England and did like this choir tour out there, and it kind of opened my eyes to be like, wow, this world's cool. So I did like this choir tour, and then I did, Mexico, and then went on a mission to Argentina, and then that just kind of like opened the floodgates. And I did like a humanitarian trip to Africa, and ended up going to back to Europe, did France and stuff, and then this business opened up all of Asia for me because I've manufacturing and stuff. So I've been to a lot of countries and traveled a ton and got to experience like I don't know, just the beauty of the earth and just what it has to offer. But I love getting to know people in other cultures and trying food, and like being immersed in cultural experiences for me is like one of my passions. Is just going and living with someone for a while in a new country is like super fun.
What's been a highlight country for you?
Man, the one that stands out for me is Uganda in Africa.
Really?
So I did a 3-month humanitarian trip there, and that for me was pretty life-changing. Like,
was this prior to getting married, or?
Yeah, I was actually engaged, and my wife was in Alaska. My fiance at the time was in Alaska. And so if you draw a line through the center of the earth, like we literally were on polar opposite ends of the earth. She was doing like Holland America Cruise Line bookings for people that were going to Denali National Park. And down in Africa, I was in Uganda doing a humanitarian trip. It was just awesome to see how happy people are with even having very little in their lives. And it just helped unlock in my brain, like, possessions and, the circumstances of our lives have very little to do with the happiness in our lives. It's more the focus of what are we, like, what brings us joy and how can we focus that energy. And so for me, that was a really eye-opening experience. I made some really close friends there that are from Africa, and I don't know, like, the people there just were so happy, so kind. But then next to that is like, it's one of the most amazing, beautiful places in the world. Like I rafted Class 6 rapids in the Nile that are like the mouth waters of the Nile that are fed from Lake Victoria there.
Wow.
Some of the craziest rapids in the world, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And we did like, waterfall rappels and like jungle walks and stuff. That was just like, for being from dry desert Utah, it was like, this is crazy. Like, this just feels so foreign and so amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. How have you been able to apply what you learned that way? That's kind of this essentialism, like not needing so much to be happy in your own life, or have you been able to implement those lessons in certain ways?
That's a good question. On the essentialism side, I would say more so just focusing on like just making sure that I'm being more intentional, I think, has been a big focus. I wouldn't say that I'm like a minimalist by any means.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like, I don't know. I'm not like trying to only own like one pair of clothes or, or one color of something or something. Like I haven't taken it to that extreme.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely like, you know, even this last Saturday, I was de-junking in my garage and just trying to find like, what is it that I actually need? I definitely don't like to hold on to stuff that's like just junk. Like I'm not like a hoarder in in that sense. But yeah, I definitely am a consumer. Like I love experiencing new products and new things. I'm not like someone that's like not buying things or, I would say the minimalism piece. It's funny because the Brand Basics products, when we started this company, that was the idea.
Yeah.
It was like minimalism, get back to the basics. Yeah. And I have a desire to do that in some ways, like especially with technology and things. Like as soon as I exit Nomatic, where I'm not involved anymore, like I'm planning on just like ditching my phone and just disconnecting from the world for a while.
Did you recently do that on LinkedIn? It seems like you did, and then you came back.
I did a year social media fast.
A year?
1 year.
Wow.
I with the caveat that I would spend 50 minutes. I was allowed to spend 50 minutes. I can't remember if I did a week or a day on LinkedIn only, just to grow my professional network and be able to be involved there, whether it was recruiting or whatever else we were doing. Mm-hmm. But every other social channel I deleted and didn't access for that time.
As a founder of a business, is that hard? Do people want to connect with you that way, or did they? Yeah, like
I was going, like at the time I was like going to these really cool events, and like, you know, like celebrity people are trying to connect with me on Instagram and other things. And I'm just like, I'm not on. Like, I'm sorry. That was a little bit weird. There was I definitely felt some isolation. There would be friends who would send reels, or friends who would, you get in these situations where it's like, oh, did you guys see that video that, and I just have to sit there and be like, I didn't see it. Like, I'm not going to pull it up either, because I'm committed to doing this for a year. And so it was weird to, you know, this is before LinkedIn even had real like video and stuff. They've added a lot of those features recently, that short form video stuff. So I don't know. I wrote an entire post about this on my LinkedIn because it was fascinating for me to do it, to fast from it for that long, and then to go back on it. This was right as I was starting to get into social media and filming these videos with Luke. Okay. So not only did I go back, but I went back like extremely hard to study algorithms to figure out how can we go viral. And so I went from like 0 to 110%, and that was brutal too. So it was very interesting.
What's your thoughts on it now? You've been at 0. You've been at hero. Where do you stand? Where do you feel like the intention should be?
So it's definitely a necessary evil that exists. It's where the attention is. So when you're talking about running a business, marketing, advertising, all those things, you have to exist. You can't just say, oh, we're going to boycott that for our brand. You just wouldn't exist. And so in order to do that, as an owner, I have to understand elements of it. Now, I don't think you have to like rationalize it and say, I need to be doom scrolling every day.
Right.
But there was an element of it where I like had to study algorithms, had to see what trends were going so that we could joke about them in our videos or jump on those trends. So if you want to succeed doing it as a founder or as you own a business, you definitely need to be aware of what's happening. I don't think you can not, unless you hire someone that's really good, that knows exactly what to do, and they just tell you what to do. But for me, personally, as soon as I can disconnect, I'm going to be MIA for a while. Yeah. It's just, for me, it's not healthy. Like, mentally, it weighs on me when I'm, like, just the weight of the world and everything that's going on right now. Like, it's very draining for me personally. And I go down these rabbit holes of like, I've been talking about this a little bit on LinkedIn this week, but I've gone down this rabbit hole of this AI automation stuff. And it has been, for me, I don't know if it's my personality or what, but I just get obsessed and passionate about growing and building something. And so for that, it's like now my entire feed is that. And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where I just keep getting drawn into this, and then I end up staying up super late, like researching it and figuring stuff out. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. I think it's having done both, I never felt like more just mental clarity and as much mental clarity and just like peace and just like confidence as I did when I was not in all of that.
Where did the blessings come? Like, I mean, physically, spiritually, whatever, like what did you experience during that time?
Yeah, all of it. I mean, you find you just have more time
Mm-hmm.
and your mental state, your mental stillness just exists. Like I would find myself just like sitting and just outside staring out into the field or something, right? It's like they're finding time to do that when you have a phone that's drawing your attention all the time is really hard because your brain is wired to literally pick that thing up as soon as there's a gap in like you step into an elevator and the first thing you do, you pull out your phone, right? Or you're sitting and waiting and a show's not starting or whatever, phone's out. Like it's this constant habitual thing that you get on, and then it's a hard habit to break. But after you break it, you find yourself just being like much more observant to the world. You're taking things in different ways. You feel much more calm and peaceful. And yeah, it's almost, anyway, I wrote a post about it that was like really well thought out and much more eloquent than I am being right now. But like, I guess the takeaway for me was like, it's hard and sad that it's the world we live in. And we have, in a big way, I think as owners of businesses, we have to be involved at some level. And I know my kids are going to grow up in this and they're going to be exposed to all of it. And so I guess I look at it like this tsunami that is coming, and I know it's going to hit my kids, and it's going to like hit me and everything and just destroy everything that it touches. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, what other choice do we have? I don't know. I mean, there is a choice to just say, I'm just not going to be involved. But then it's like, well, now I'm forfeiting opportunity for growth in other areas, whether that's marketing or whatever else. So,
yeah, I mean, I go through these ebbs and flows where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then it's like, well, and then I get a message from someone and they're like, I needed what you posted today or, you know, whatnot. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I posted for that guy then. Mm-hmm. And, or even some of my children will say, hey, you know, your testimony here or there. And I use it kind of as a journal. And it's just really whatever's on my mind for that day. But I don't know. I think that there's so much garbage content out there too. And in some way I want to like counteract some of that and like put out as much light and good as possible. And especially to show that businesses can do that, you know, and that in the name of business, you can do so much good, and it doesn't have to just be, I don't know. I've watched enough businessmen over the years that like change their hue depending upon where they're at in business, and then they're different at home, and then they're different in the community. And it's like, you can kind of just bring all these together in certain realms and just be who you are, you know, wherever you are. But, I don't know. I feel sometimes like, it's like, hey, I need to post this. And then I'm like, am I feeling that just because it's like there is somebody that needs to hear it, or that it's like I've gotten into like a habit of like needing to post this, you know? And so sometimes it drives me nuts, and like I don't want to, and I post a lot about like gospel and faith. Like that's the topic that's on my mind most of the time. And I love to write. It seems like you love to write and think out, you know, your thoughts, put it on paper and share it with the world. So I don't know. I would hate to see the thoughts coming from you just go away, because they're good and they're directed, you know, to people that need it. And, but I can also understand the desire to just cut that off, you know?
Yeah, I definitely haven't reached that point, personally, where I'm like, I want to be giving value on my socials personally. Like I've never posted on Instagram myself. Like you go follow me on Instagram, I don't have any posts. So for me, it's like, I haven't invested in what message do I want to share with the world. The only platform I've embraced in that capacity is LinkedIn. And for me, the value there is like this week's the perfect example. I'm getting way into AI and I'm like, how can I figure this out? There's people who are smarter than me who've already done this. I can either spend hours researching this, or I can get in a room with people that are smart and that can how we can help each other grow.
Yeah.
And so I posted about doing an AI mastermind, and immediately I had like 25 people reach out that want to be part of a group that meets together to discuss relevant AI topics, how you integrate them into your business, how you. So
are these guys that already know AI, or they're people that want to learn it?
A mix, yeah, for sure. There's people that are like just getting started, and there's people that have built full agents that are doing the work for them and stuff. So it was a mix. But with that being said, like there's so much value in that channel that I've built, even though I only have like 10,000 followers or something, but it's like that those followers are extremely valuable for me as a business owner to be able to draw from those. We've done focus groups where I say, I'm reviewing this product. Can I get 5 people to come check this out? And immediately people are jumping up and wanting to help. And so the value that I'm able to get from that network is extremely cool. But I haven't reached the point where it's like, what message do I want to be known for? What like, I guess, legacy am I leaving, other than just like this idea of like, I want to try and experience new things and test my limits and capabilities and figure out. So yeah, I mean, I applaud you for being brave enough to share, your testimony and like just things that would impact people's lives in positive ways. Because I've never done that, other than just like, maybe someone got inspired to like delete social media for 1 second, but it's like it's because I did like a test to just
that's powerful,
see it.
man.
But
I mean, I've done like a week-long fast before, and social media, or and that's usually come by the encouragement of a church leader or whatnot, and it's good. We just bought those bricks for our home. We haven't set it up yet.
Do you like it? I've wondered if those work.
I don't know.
Well or not.
We just got them in the mail, and then I took off to St. Louis for that event.
Okay.
So we'll probably set it up today or tomorrow and see how it goes. I'm hoping that at least it takes a portion of our day at home and just like blocks it all out. You know, and it's almost sad that we feel like we need that.
It's weird, right?
But it's and it's not like, I don't think we sit in dooms. If there's like nothing happening, it's sit down, it's like, then it comes out, it's like,
and you have kids with devices now, and
we've got 21, 19, 8, 16 and 12 that they all have a device now. Not all of them have social media. Like our son is 16. He still doesn't have Instagram or Facebook, and I don't know if Facebook's a thing for those kids anyways. And our daughter doesn't have it yet, but yeah, my daughter is in Brazil. One served a mission in Brazil. She came home the day she got home. The other one got her mission call to Brazil, and she just got to the field. She's been in the São Paulo MTC for the last 5 weeks, and just last Wednesday got out to the field. But I've connected so much with her mission leaders on social media that I felt like we knew each other. And I'd post things about my daughter getting ready for her mission, and then she's leaving, and I would tag them, and they would always like repost her stuff to like their. And finally, my daughter was noticing. She's like, "You need to stop tagging them and stop tagging." Like, I don't want to be that girl that's heading to that mission and everyone already knows her, Yeah. And she gets there. We just had our first call with her yesterday, first P day and preparation day. For those that don't know what that is, it's a day they prepare for the week. And she's like, I got here and everyone already knew me, like, because of you, Dad. Like, you're posting to, and she's like, don't stop tagging them, because they love, her mission leaders love social media as well. They're pretty young, they're very charismatic, very exciting, so they'll repost everything. It's a fun relationship we've built, and it's all about gospel topics and what a missionary's out there doing and the whole journey. I love to document it, and that's just been my way of doing it. But she's telling me, stop posting so much about me, or stop tagging so many people. But anyways, I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just like, this is cool. I love what we're experiencing, So I don't know. I don't really have a strategy. It's just what I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see the last couple of years. Like, now that I am in social and involved more, I would say one trend I've been noticing, which actually is like encouraging of this next generation, is they'll often root for the underdog. Like, if a video starts out like, I'm not very good at this, or it's like, someone that you look at and you're like, dude, this guy's a joke. Like, there's no way he's going to be able to sing well, or whatever it is that they're about to do. They don't look the part or whatever. all of a sudden you get like people rallying.
That's cool.
But you obviously get the opposite too, where
Yeah.
you've got these trolls that are like making fun of them in the comments, and so there's tons of cyberbullying going on in these same videos. But usually the top comment is like, "You're awesome," or like, you know, like I've noticed this trend happening. I'm like, that's cool. Like humanity is still okay. like there's people now that are like, it's almost cool to prop people up that are the underdogs. And I've been
kind of like this video that my sister hugs this guy that's alone, and it's like, boom.
Exactly.
You know?
That's a perfect example. It's like, you didn't expect that to go viral, but people love, like, they connect with this idea of like, they want to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people that are liking it is like, oh, like, that's a good person, you know, like, I want to be that type of person. And they'll like and share it and comment on it. So
yeah, that's
interesting.
Cool. That's awesome. What are you going to do with your children to kind of, have you and your wife talked about that with technology and what the plan is?
Yeah, luckily, I mean, we're still in the phase, like our oldest is 12. We haven't introduced any personal devices yet. So we have an iPad at home that is like our family iPad. So when we go on a date or whatever, my daughter can message us and call us. But in terms of like her personal device, you know, we're like going to hold off as long as we can.
That's good.
But there's a certain point where I think it's actually harmful to the children to not introduce some kind of technology, because you're limiting their capabilities of knowing how to work on something that's going to run their life for the next, you know, foreseeable future. Plus the idea of like learning how to control your mind around social media and other things. Like for me, you know, not having that, and then post mission or whatever, like getting onto those channels, it was very easy to just be like all in on it, right? And jump in and not have any idea how to like control my screen time or like even have those thought processes. So those had to be built over 10 or 15 years, where like if you can introduce a child, you know, I'm not like a technology specialist, so I have no idea what the right age is, but like there's no chance our kids are going to have any social media channels until they're like about ready to like graduate high school or something, where it's like, okay, like maybe you're going to want it to get out in the world and like make friends or something. But like up until then, I think for us, like getting some kind of watch will probably be like phase 1, probably when she's in middle school, and then maybe a phone like when she's 16 and has a car and it like makes sense to like have GPS and be able to text us and stuff. Like I don't know, that's kind of what we're thinking, is probably like middle school, a watch, as soon as she can drive, probably a phone, and then from there we're just gonna hold out as long as we can. My wife and I don't do a ton of screens at home, so like we're not the type that like has the TV on all the time or anything like that. And so, you know, movie nights are like less than, you know, every other week kind of thing, or once a week if we go on a date, like our kids will get a movie night, and it's like they look forward to that and they love their screen time. But like there's also a balance where we don't want to like limit it so much that when they go over to a friend's house, all they want to do is play Nintendo Switch or whatever it is, right? It's like this idea that like you always want what you can't have. For me, it was like, it was caffeine as a kid, or like candy or something, right? Like my house, you couldn't drink caffeine. You couldn't have a ton of candy.
We couldn't have caffeine either, and now I make a living with it. You know?
There you go. So when I was in high school, it was like, oh, I'm going to drink Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, like whatever I get my hands on at my friends' houses, because I knew my parents like didn't approve of it or whatever. So it's like there's a balance there. I think you have to introduce, like I went to Five Guys this week with my 12-year-old, and she's like, Dad, can I have some Dr. Pepper? I'm like, yeah, like why don't you have half a cup, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I want her to try it. I want her to experience it, because for her, it's like, it's okay. It's not going to kill you, but you need to learn how to like control it. You need to know there's actually negative side effects to having too much caffeine. It's addictive. It can cause all these other things. And it's like, if you can give them give them a little bit leash at a time and
educate them
walk
with
themselves,
that.
right?
Yeah, so that's good. Sounds like you guys are doing it right. There's a book called The Anxious Generation.
I haven't read this. I've heard a lot about it though.
And I think it's kind of what you're saying. It's like the 16-year-old phone, and then, you know, and I haven't read it all. I had a friend give it to me, and I wish we would have had this book. I've read a portion of it, but I wish we would have had it a few years back, because we probably did a lot of things the wrong way. But
we're all just doing
our
the
kids
best
are
we
doing
can.
well. So That's awesome, man. So in business, what's been the highest of highs for you, and what's been like the lowest of lows through the nomadic journey?
Okay, so highest of highs. There's a specific moment in my mind that was pretty cool. We partnered with a photographer. His name's Peter McKinnon.
We got one of his backpacks right here because
Yeah.
Spencer, our photographer, and actually won this, I guess.
Yeah.
Through one of your giveaways.
So yeah, we create camera bags. And we created a signature line with him. There was a moment where we were at this event. It was Vid Summit, and a lot of cool like YouTubers were there and stuff. And we were doing this giveaway, and Peter McKinnon, we had him show up to this giveaway. He showed up like with 1 minute to spare, and he walks up.
Was he a partner of yours at this point?
Not really a partner. It was more just like we did a collaboration with him.
Okay.
So just like a straight royalty deal where we pay him a royalty of every bag we sell. It's got his name on it. He pushes it on his channel. And
how did you connect with him to do that?
we went to a coffee shop with him when we were in Canada, and he pitched us on this idea of like, let's make a camera bag together.
So he saw your guys' product.
Yeah, he had already bought it himself and like had travel bags of ours. And
you guys are everywhere. Like I honestly, I was sitting in the plane this morning and got off from St. Louis, and the guy grabs his Nomatic pack on, and the guys I was with knew I was coming to podcast with you today, and they're like, hey, there's another Nomatic. But it's especially in the airport, I see him all the time.
Yeah, it's a very humbling experience to see that. But anyway, there was this moment where he showed up to this event. We were doing a giveaway, so we had people like gather around our booth, and at the time, like, I'm standing up on this table. Peter McKinnon walks up. We had a blanket draped over these new bags we were about to unveil. And there's like 150 to 200 people just gathered around our booth. And it's in this like random convention center. And like all of their booths felt like dead and empty. And, we ripped the blanket off and everyone's like cheering and gasping. And it's like, there was this moment where I was just like, I can't believe the community that we've built around bags. Like you wouldn't think it, but people, like, I don't know, they just connect really well with this idea of like being able to organize your gear and have confidence as you're traveling, to know where your stuff is, and there's a place for everything. And like just the whole concept that we found our community of people that like really enjoy well thought out designed products that are durable and premium. And so we had this moment with him where I kind of like took a break to just like look around and just be like, this is incredible what
Pinch
we've built.
yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and like you say, like you're traveling and you're seeing it. Like those moments are extremely rewarding for me personally, to be like, I may see bags as I travel until the day I die at this point, because of how, like, I'm still seeing OGO bags of brands that have been acquired and stuff where it's like, we've put enough bags into the market at this point, whatever, how many it is, 50,000 plus bags a year we're pushing out that like are being used.
Well, they're so durable as well. Your guys' whatever the
lifetime
material
warranty
that's
on
on
them.
it. Like
It's
I've always thought, man, you probably can drag it behind a car and the computer's protected, right?
So that was probably like highest of highs. Lowest of lows, I've had a couple of those. I think for me the lowest moment was in 2019, we were hearing about brands like Away Luggage, if you've heard of them. They had like $1 billion valuation in like 3 years. And so we were just launching luggage at the time, and I'm like, dude, like we could do this. The TSA had just come out and said you can't have lithium-ion batteries in your bags anymore, and we didn't have one, and so it put like 2 or 3 bag companies out of business because they had all of their inventory had these batteries in it.
Why did the luggage have batteries in it?
Because you'd have like it was like a feature,
a lock or something.
Where it was like charge your device on the go, right from the luggage, and you push a button and the battery comes out and you charge it and push it back in. Like it was a tech thing that people were starting to offer, but when they switched the rule, like these 3 male brands that made bags for men that were luggage, like all just disappeared because all their inventory was essentially dead at that point. Wow. Which for us was like a huge opportunity. So we were like, let's shoot for the moon. So we started dating investment bankers. Like we're going to raise a ton of money. We're going to like try to get like $1 billion valuation in like 3 years. Let's just like spend our way to the stars. And there was a moment we had just signed with Deloitte, and I remember I had this pit in my stomach that wasn't like a pit. It was like a massive gaping hole. And I was just like, something is not right. And it felt extremely off. And at the time I had just thrown my back out or something, or no, I tore my shoulder playing sports. And so I was like, I felt limited in what I could do physically. And in the business, I was basically felt like I was signing my life away to try to like blow this thing up. But I knew the alternative is like, you're either going for the moon or you're going to get bankrupt, basically, right? It's like, this isn't going to work if we don't do this right. And there was a lot of other factors in my life where I just was like feeling trapped. And I had this moment where one day I just woke up, and I'm not like one that's like ever struggled with depression or anxiety or anything like that. But I had a moment where I was like, dude, I don't like, I just like hit the lowest of low where I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed today. I don't want to do this. And I had like,
just stemming from this, like, I don't know if we should have signed this deal, or
I think for me, the idea of control and freedom is one of the biggest driving factors of why I've made it. Every choice I've made in my life is I want to have complete control and freedom over myself, my destiny, everything, and figure out a way to carve that path. And in that moment, every aspect of my life, you know, physically, spiritually, even in business and everything, it was like, I just kind of felt trapped. Like it was like I was going in the wrong direction on all of the different fronts. And so I think there was like 2 or 3 days where I just like laid in bed. I was just kind of zombie. And I was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want, like, not necessarily like suicidal, but it was just kind of like, I just don't want to do this. Yeah. I'm done. And yeah.
Feeling the pressure of like,
yeah, there was a lot of pressure.
Was it like providing for your family? Was that on your mind?
All of it, everything. And I think there was like, my son had just had this surgery, and there was a moment where I just like felt out of control. Like I realized like I guess this is making me sound like I have a really controlling personality, but like I just kind of like couldn't, I don't know. It was this moment where I was just like, I don't feel like I have freedom in any capacity in my life. And anyway, long story short, fast forward. So this is like September of 2019. Okay. Fast forward to March of 2020, COVID happens, lockdowns happen. And when you lock down an entire world and you say no travel bag sales go to zero. So our sales like disappeared overnight.
Wow.
That was extremely scary. And in September, when I had this moment of like, I can't do this anymore, I reached out to my business partner, Jacob, and I'm like, I just feel sick. Like we're going down the wrong path. And he's like, dude, I totally agree.
He was feeling the same thing.
It's like, I'm so glad you said that. So we went from like trying to spend our way to $1 billion company to being like, we need to just focus on being profitable, pay off all our debts. And we made a massive transition between September and March where like, if we hadn't have made those changes, we would have gone bankrupt for sure. Like if we had signed with this investment banker and spent a ton of money,
you didn't end up doing.
We ended up backing out of the deal, and we're like, okay, we need to just shift gears.
Did the gut go? Did it?
It went away. It went away after we started like I was saying, after we kind of started controlling like our destiny of like, okay, we're making profits again, we're paying off our debts. It's not like, you know, it felt like we finally were able to own our own destiny. And then when COVID happened, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful we made all those changes when we did, and that I had that moment of like, you know, depression and just kind of like anxiety of like, I was just crippled at the time, and it made me make some changes in my life physically and business and spiritually that really helped kind of accelerate everything moving forward. And so, you know, in hindsight, that was an experience that I'm super grateful for, but at the time it wasn't very fun. It was like my lowest of lows of like, we've built a monster and I don't have control of it anymore. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. How do you see God's hand in all of that? What's your thoughts on that in business and decisions?
I mean, this seems like a safe space here, so I'll share a very
We are
personal.
being recorded, but if I didn't tell you that, that's what the mic and the headphones.
That's what all this stuff is. Okay.
But it's a safe place.
I'll share some stuff, because it's important, I think, for the world to hear this. And I'm gonna just keep maybe some names private, just for their sake. But I have a really good friend that, so after this experience, I don't know how much longer after, probably within a year, I woke up in the middle of the night. Call it 2 or 4 a.m. or something, and I just have this feeling. I'm like, you need to text your friend. And I mean, this doesn't normally happen. This is weird, but I had just finished a 24-hour fast where I'm like, I basically gave myself to God and said, I want to be an instrument in your hands. Let me use anything I have to help somebody. So I just finished this fast. I go to sleep. I wake up at 2 a.m. with this gut-wrenching feeling like I need to text somebody. And I roll over and I'm like, I'm going back to sleep. Same thing happens again. I kind of ignore it again. I'm like, I'm just having these weird thoughts. I'm like probably in the middle of some dream or something. That's actually why I was having the feeling. So I had a dream of this friend, and in the dream he was sitting in a chair, and the feeling I had those 3 days where I was just crippled came back, and I felt exactly what he was feeling in this moment. And I could see it in his eyes and in his demeanor. And so then I woke up from this dream, and my thought was, you need to text this friend. So that's why the prompting came. And then I was thinking, that was just because it was just a weird dream. It's random. So I'm trying to rationalize it. Yeah. Comes back a third time, and the third time, like, all right, I'll just do it. I text him and went to bed, thought nothing of it. Anyway, I woke up to a text from him that's essentially like, I was going to take my life tonight, and your text saved me. And I knew why I had to go through something hard, because I could understand how this guy felt.
Wow.
And for me to be able to be an instrument, and again, I don't take credit for that. It was more just a thing where I was like, I want to help somebody. Let me help somebody. God took the one thing that someone needed in that moment and said, text this person.
Wow.
And I did. And he still to this day, we talk about this experience, which was just wild, because he's like, I don't know. He's kind of left God and stuff. And so he's like, I don't know what to believe with all of this, but for some reason that text was timed perfectly.
Wow.
And he was having some really hard things going on in his life. And he was like, I basically told my wife, I was going to take my life. And at the time she was not being, she kind of like walked out on him essentially. Wow. And left him alone. And that text like saved his life. Wow. And that for me was like when you ask your question, how has God, I can't remember the way you worded your question for this part of it, but I've been able to see the hand of God in my life in ways that, I like I was telling you, I don't normally share these experiences publicly with people, but I know that he's real, and he cares about us enough to have someone random like me. I hadn't texted this friend in like 7 months or something. I hadn't even like seen him or anything that would have prompted that dream, other than knowing he was in that moment sitting in that chair. And that for me was like pretty life-changing, to be the one that God let help him. And so it made me look at trials differently, I guess, is a big takeaway from that. Is sometimes we experience things and we don't understand why, but in the future, those can end up being huge catalysts for change or good in the future of ways we can actually help others.
I love it. Yeah, it's a perfect example of my favorite quote, which is, "You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were." And I think of our Savior. He's most powerfully positioned to serve us, to come to our aid, to save us, because he's been through everything we've been through, right? And in life, we have these perspective moments that allow us an opportunity to open our eyes and learn and grow, most typically through difficulties and through stuff we don't wish to go through, right? But I love that you had a willing heart and a willing mind and desire to respond to God. And sometimes, even when we're willing and we pray and we fast and sometimes we resist that. We have to be told a few times,
Yeah.
Hey, you asked for it. You're
Right.
willing, like, respond to me, and I think that's okay. I think that's pretty normal human nature. But this being the Conquer Cast, I would just tell folks listening, like, this is a perfect example of, like, what we should be doing in life with both the things that we've gone through, the struggle, the trial. There's a wise purpose to it all. If we can open our eyes and heart and mind to it, and then be willing and express to God, like, I'm ready to respond to whatever you'd need me to. And then, sometimes you're the guy on the other end, and sometimes you're the guy being the conduit for God. And we all play both roles in life at times, And I've always been so grateful for those that, like, reach out to me, and I'm like, oh, how did you know that right now I needed this? How did you show up on the path right now? And man, yours is very, very critical timing for you to respond to God's. I often sit and think, how many promptings have I not responded to, and will I ever know, like, oh, that thought that I had wasn't just my thought, that I didn't respond to?
I struggle with this idea a lot of, like, well, if that happened one time, like, of course my mind is like, well, I should be fasting all the time and figuring out ways to help people. But it's like, we're also human, and we also have to, like, I don't know, like, finding the balance of, like, focusing on building ourselves and building others around us, and then also just, like, giving back and stuff. Like, for me, there's this, I've always kind of struggled with this, especially, like, I guess if we're talking about business with Nomatic, like, we've had a really hard time with give back campaigns.
Like, instituting them, or coming up with them, or just even, like,
I think
feeling the need to.
I think what you guys are doing is the perfect example of the way a brand should do it. It aligns perfectly with your mission, your vision. These meals you're doing and everything is absolutely incredible, and I think you guys are doing it really well. There are brands that I won't call out specifically where it feels more like a PR publicity stunt, and at the
box to check,
but also just like, maybe this will get us some attention. And for me, that's the wrong reason to be doing it. And so a lot of what Jacob and I have done to date is just been, like, in secret. Like our give backs are not like, oh, let's do this. Like, we packed meals for a while at USANA Kids Eat. We would do that, and that was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed that. It's fun to just get the team together. They feel like they're serving and bonding. Like, I know that there's value there. But in terms of, like, this question of, like, how, you asked, the reason I'm thinking about this, because you asked the question, like, how many times have I not, and if you beat yourself up over that, or, like, put this pressure on yourself, like, I should always be an instrument in God's hands, and, like, every day I need to be praying to, like, be led, like, you just can get to a point where you kind of wear yourself out of like having expectations that, like, moments like what happened to me where I texted this guy and it saved his life, that doesn't happen every single day. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think as long as our hearts are in the right place and we're doing things for the right reasons, we'll naturally be led to the right people at the right time,
Yeah, I love that too. And I think God wants people to act and not to always be acted upon. Like, just do good of our own free will and choice.
One of my favorite quotes ever is President Russell M. Nelson, who was the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who passed away recently. He said, "The Lord loves effort." And for whatever reason, when he said that, it was like, I just felt this, like, burden lifted off my shoulder, where I'm like, we just have to put forth an effort. Like
Yeah.
anything, the Lord loves that effort. Like even if I'm just like doing something as simple as like opening my heart to a prayer or something, it's like that's an effort in the right direction. It's when you're stagnant and not doing anything or moving in the wrong direction that it starts to hurt you, right? But it's like just make efforts, constantly be putting your one foot in front of the other, and don't expect to be saving lives all the time, but it's like just make an effort in some capacity, and maybe you'll be able to do some good with that.
Love that. That's awesome. Really good. Yeah, how do you and your wife conquer as a couple? What are some things, some practical takeaways that you can share with our audience that you guys do?
Yeah, my wife is the best. She's like such a realist that like she always like grounds me. I have these big ideas of like, oh, we should do this and this, and she'll like the other day I was like, hey, I want to go out on a date and do like a family planning of like, how can we like thrive as a family or something. And she immediately was like, shot it down and was like, I like the idea of how can we survive as a family better. And for me, like that set the stage of like, this conversation is very different, and it was exactly what we needed. And so we went out to dinner that night and talked about how can we survive as a family. And her mindset is that it's like we're in this like young baby mode right now where like we have sleepless nights, and it's like we don't need to be like starting nonprofits or like trying to conquer the world right now. Like there's conquering that needs to happen at home. Even just small stuff of like making sure that our kids are being seen and feel loved and things like that. Like how can we survive? And so we kind of built this plan, which I'm like extremely proud of because it's been working really well. And so what we do every Sunday is we have a family planning meeting, we call it. And essentially we gather all the kids and we get some nachos, and because they're so young, it's like hard to keep them still, right? So you feed them a little food, and while they're eating, you talk about the week ahead of you, and you kind of have a plan. And so what we decided to do is we said, let's focus on one kid each week. And so like this week, for example, is my son Jackson's week. So on Monday night, he gets to choose what we do as a family. So every Monday night we dedicate to our family, and we don't plan anything for Monday nights. We do something. And last night he wanted to go downstairs and play the VR headset game. And so we each took a turn, and we all were laughing and sitting around watching each other play this. And so on Monday nights he gets to choose that. On Tuesdays, I think we were doing like Taco Tuesday or something, like nothing specific to Jackson. But that during that week, Jackson will get to choose a night he wants to do, like a date night with one of us, either my wife or I. And so, and again, it's not like something extravagant. This is like go to Swig and get a cookie or something, right? It's like something so simple. And it's just a time to get one-on-one time with a parent and a child. And so last week, my daughter, Brooklyn, and I went to Five Guys for our like little date night or whatever. So like, it's just something simple. You get one-on-one time with the parent, and I get asked her questions that I normally wouldn't, and get to know her better. And so there's this family night they get a plan. There's this date night that happens, and then we let them share a message with the family one night. So before we do bedtime, we'll often do like scripture. We say scriptures and prayers, and so we'll like read a little verse of the scripture, or we'll share a story from the Bible or something, and then have a prayer after. And so one night we'll let the kid do that. And that's been a lot of fun to see them brainstorming and planning that as they read, Old Testament stories or whatever it is.
That's cool.
And then the last piece to that is they get to plan a meal, and then they help prepare the meal at some point in that week. And we usually do that on, I think we did it Friday last week, but anyway, so the idea around building this week around the kid is they feel special that week. They get to make decisions. They get to like plan something. They get to learn some skills. They get to spend some time one-on-one with us. And then each week, they kind of look forward to when it's their week, and they get to be And so for us, it was like we highlighted some of the areas that we felt like we were struggling as a family and said, how can we survive better? And one way was like, we need to focus more on our kids. And this, we kind of built this plan around them, and we type it up. My daughter types it all up in Canva, and we print it out and put it on the fridge. And so they know exactly what's happening when. And we got one of those pizza ovens, and we just weren't really using it, and I'm like, let's do Thursday night pizza nights. And so we do like homemade pizzas on Thursday. And again, this is all just like, as a family, we typically would, get home from work, and then it's like, we're just going to do a free for all for food. Like rarely are we like sitting down, having dinner together. And so this is a way for us to have those family moments where we have time together and plan them out. And so when we plan, there's less thinking that has to go into it day of, and we're like trying to pull something together last minute. This just makes it all a little more possible. So anyway, that's one small way that maybe like my wife and I have conquered something recently, is just like, we want to conquer this idea of letting our kids be more involved and letting them be seen and helping them develop as humans,
That's so cool. I love it. That's it sounds more like thriving than surviving to me, but I understand the concept
I tricked
of
I tricked my wife into a Thrive plan, probably. If it was her, she would have been much more realistic. It's probably making us have more stress now, but
no, I love it. The kids and their opportunity to lead and grow, and to feel seen and a part of it sounds to me like culture, right? You guys are building culture within the walls of your own home, which is the greatest place to do that. And I'm all about culture. How's the culture at Nomatic? What do you guys have similar kind of traditions that you're not maybe like family scripture time and stuff,
but yeah, we ran a program. We've been running a program for a long time, which I was just mentioning to my leadership team. Like, it feels like it's kind of dying right now, and I want to find a way to like revitalize it. But the plan is called the Life Well Lived Challenge. And what we do is we actually have our employees set goals outside of work that have nothing to do with what their tasks are at work. So physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually, they set a goal. If they hit their goals in any given month, they can earn credit towards travel.
Cool.
And then, so they track them all in a spreadsheet, and then at the end of the year, they could earn like $1,200 towards a trip somewhere.
That's awesome.
And so the cool thing about this is, as we've kind of started developing Nomatic, I found myself getting invested in building people. Like, as we were building these products and stuff, I'm like, there's these really awesome employees that are coming to us for like, growth, and they want to progress, and like, let's give them those opportunities. And as we did that, the culture changed, where it was no longer like there's no like cutthroat culture or anything weird like that. It's our culture at Nomatic is honest, humble hustlers, is kind of what we always say. And so it's more just like we're people that are just like doing our best, and we're okay to own up to our mistakes. And it's not about who is right. It's about what is right for the business. And we all kind of operate under this assumption. And then with these goals, like, I've had employees who've approached me and come to me and said, dude, this changed my life. Like, one employee came and said, this literally saved my marriage, that I've been doing these date nights with my wife or whatever it was. And so, or, people have quit addictions or other things. And it's been really cool to see that happening as we've implemented that program. But in the last like 6 months, we've just been so busy with like, it feels like each of our employees has like 2 roles right now. It feels like everyone's like drowning. And so I've had a hard time really pushing this, because it's felt like unauthentic to like be requiring so much of them, and then also being like, why are you guys not hitting your personal goals? So I need to figure out a way to make it so that Nomatic has a Life Will Live program that helps us survive. Because we're not really in like the thrive. It's probably similar to where my family's at right now. Like, we need to figure out a way to survive. Because of tariffs and some lawsuits and other stuff, Nomatic has gone through a really hard time this year, and it's been brutal. And so we're trying to like find a way to survive.
Yeah, that is tariffs. I'm sure took a toll on a product company like yours, right? How do you survive that?
Oh man, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So one good news, I mean, the tariff refunds are actually like, I think it's looking more likely. Like initially when they said, oh, we might do these tariff refunds, I'm like, it's a government thing. It's going to take 6 months to a year. We'll probably never see that money. But for us, it's looking like potentially by the end of April, we could actually get a tariff refund. It would be almost $1 million.
Wow. That quickly, huh?
That would change our business overnight. Yeah. Like if we had $1 million of cash that we could then use to just grow the business, it would be extremely valuable. Yep. But I'm not holding my breath. I'm kind of like still doubting, like there could always be some new law that gets in place or someone trying to like make that not happen. But it's looking like it's actually pretty likely. Yeah, that's awesome. And we've like gone in and entered all our big info in there. And so it's like within the next month or two, there could be any day where we just get a deposit. And it's like, dude, if that happens, I'll be able to breathe again. Yeah. But right now it's like survival mode. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you guys are smart guys. I mean, just looking from a distance, seeing and then hearing. We've got mutual friends that just talk very highly of you guys and your abilities, capabilities, and just the creative side that you guys seem to adapt and adjust along the ways you're moving about in life, right? And so you guys will make it through. You've got an awesome product as well, and so people want it and want to see you succeed. One last question. And did I miss anything about Nomatic? Did you want to share about like anything you're learning in life that you're like, oh, I'd really like to just drop this nugget right now?
No, I haven't. I didn't come into this with anything pre-planned in my brain. This is a total authentic conversation here. So.
Yeah, and I mean, we started very just authentic and just went with it. So I typically just try to make this very conversational as well. I do like to. I like to ask people, how they've seen God's hand through it all, because I feel like it's difficult to conquer in life without having that strength and that ability to lean on a higher power. And so if there's one message that I really try to reiterate to our audience time and time again is that there is a source to turn to. And so I'm grateful that you were willing to open up and share that. Have you read the book, How Will You Measure Your Life, Clayton Christensen?
Yeah.
That's the question I like to ask people as I wrap up these podcasts as a conqueror in life. How will you measure your life, Jon?
I read that book, and for some reason it didn't resonate with me.
That's good. I love to have somebody that because you're the first to say that.
I'm not discounting Clayton Christensen, like what that book is. I love the concept behind it. I don't know why. I think it's maybe how my brain works.
Okay.
Trying to define how I measure my life is tricky. And I've actually gone back to this book and thumbed through it a couple times to try to be like, what is it that people are seeing in this that I'm missing?
Yeah.
And so I have a really hard time answering that question.
Take the book out of it and just the question.
So what does that mean? Like at the end of my life,
what will you want to have accomplished or be known? I mean, earlier you said, I don't know what my message would be, that I'd want to leave to the world. And that's fine. I think everyone's on this journey, but what is the ultimate level of success for you when all is said and done?
Yeah, I guess maybe I have such a hard time with this because I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
I actually I want to have like some polished answer for you to just say, oh, this is for sure my why. And
I actually love that you don't. Like, I think this is awesome.
I guess let me say it this way. When I was a kid, my brother sat me down and he said, Jon, I noticed like you're athletic. You're going to be the tallest of all of us brothers. Like, you should really try to find your favorite thing. So like, let's call it basketball. You should go all in on basketball. You should be the best. And you should like dedicate all of your time to that. And at the time he's, a senior thinking, I was never really good at anything. I was like a generalist, right? And for me, hearing his advice, I kind of said, okay, I see what you're saying. It'd be really cool to be like the best basketball player in my high school or something, and like literally dedicate myself to that. But then at the same time, something in my mind clicked where I'm like, I want to do the exact opposite of that.
Uh-huh.
I want to get kind of good at everything.
Huh.
And I think that there's value in experiencing new things rather than like picking one thing for myself to say, you know what, my purpose in this life, the legacy I want to leave behind, people are going to know me for this. I don't think that, for whatever reason, that doesn't resonate with me. I want to be known for someone that was constantly trying new things, constantly trying to become the best version of myself and to give back in any way that I felt was right. And just, and it's not one reason. It's like, for you, it may be hunger, but for me, it's like, hunger doesn't mean as much to me personally. I don't have a connection to that, but I may end up packing meals at USANA Kids Eat to help kids with hunger, right? Or, and I feel like that's an impact. It's more just, I guess, how I measure my life. Like, it'll be measured in how well I was able to experience every capacity of life and be able to tie that all together to just make a positive impact on the world.
Beautiful. I think it's awesome. I'm not answering my own question.
No, but I want to hear your answer.
But I think about it a lot. It differs. And sometimes I hear somebody else's. I'm like, yeah, I love that response. I at the end of the day, I don't necessarily want to be measured by the number of meals or the company that I grew or whatnot. I look at that book and the reason why it resonates so well with me, and I would say the way that you're living your life, I would think that book like ties to your life because we're both running businesses and there's a return on these investments. There's a return on the time we put in. There's a return on the money we invest in this. We want a return. We want profitability. But his whole premise around that is like the relationships that we invest in will have the most lasting impact and the way that we can impact lives. And so I think of you and your wife sitting down and creating a survival plan that I think turns into this plan of just thriving. You're investing into the relationships that matter most in your life and within the walls of your own home. And let's forget all the clutter and let's forget all the social media and let's turn that off for a bit and let's focus in on these relationships. Let's give this child this week and let's just build him up. And then this daughter gets this next week and let's build her up and she's contributing. And what does that contribution mean to her and her investment into the family and how she feels? There's all these returns on the investments you guys are making, and you're and there's somebody clapping.
They're clapping. This is a great speech.
But I think you're like a great definition as I hear you and then ask that question and you don't like the book. I'm like, well, you're living the message, man.
Well, so here, this is another way to put it because I don't want viewers to be like, oh, this guy, who's this guy? Clayton Christensen is a brainiac, right?
Yeah.
He was really smart. Yeah. I'm not. I would say I'm the opposite. I would say I was born with street smarts that like have enabled me to build this business in ways that I never thought possible. But it's because of my natural intuition, my gift of discernment, my ability to just make decisions quickly, to act quickly, to figure out what's working. So with that being said, the concept of measuring your life, that phrase is something that doesn't resonate with me.
Okay.
I don't like the idea of measuring my life. It's like, let's forget about why are we trying to measure our lives. Let's not even think about that. Just focus on becoming the best version of yourself and love people or whatever it is. Like I get that I'm probably twisting this in a way that's gonna make people hate me even more at this point.
I know, I love it.
But it's like he's a very analytical person that created this thought process, which I think is interesting. But for me, it's kind of like I want to do the opposite. I don't want my life to be measured. And I don't want my life to be measured by anything other than just like me just making, making an effort, trying to move forward, trying to become the best version of myself, trying to do things that are right in the right ways. And I've recently been saying this over and over because I've been seeing how it impacts. The older I get, the more I realize that all of us are just doing the very best we can.
Yeah.
And it's, if we hold ourselves to some standard,
Some
of
measurement.
like, how are you going to measure your life? It's like, well, that's a disappointment. I want to leave a cool legacy, and I want to have like some testament that lives on about something. But at the same time, it's like, why does that even matter? Like, just do it. Just be a good person. Just help people, lift them, and like, don't worry about measuring it anymore.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. That's just the way my brain thinks. Maybe it's not the right.
Do you
thought process.
in business and you measure progress, right?
Yeah, but I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
Like when I kind of mentioned this, but when it comes to me being a manager and like holding people accountable and measuring the progress of business, like I have a really hard time following up with people and keeping.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just.
But I sense a forward movement direction. You want progress in your life,
For sure.
but not just in one focused area. And I like that about you, like a generalist, but also like I want to experience all that life has to offer to me: culture, family, friends, business, creation.
Exactly.
You know, all that.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing, and so I feel like, you know, ultimately for me, what matters most is my relationship with God. That's probably where I'll measure things most, but it won't be based off of I got to level 10,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It'll be because discipleship is not about perfection, it's about direction. So I would say like my measurement is just like, am I moving the right direction when all is said and done? Is that relationship being built? And there's a quote by John Maxwell. I mentioned it on this podcast so many times, but it's around success, and I think that oftentimes we define success in the wrong ways, but success is knowing that those who know you best love you most. And you know, and I think of he who knows me best and all my weaknesses, my frailties, my, you know, every time I come up short, and God knows it, even if nobody else knows, you know, he knows it. And if I can trust in his love and what that love means for me for the eternities, then I feel like that's how I'll ultimately measure my life, is how, if I'm moving in the right direction towards him, and what that means for, you know, not just this life, but the life to come. But I think in so many different ways, it's just about direction. It's not about like an achievement or, you know, whatever levels we can put on, or the KPIs. It's funny, I was just at an outdoor industry executive summit, and you had brands like the CEO of REI and Cotopaxi and Hoka and Solomon and just so many brands that are much bigger than ours, and incredible graphs and, you know, demonstrations of forward movement and you know, I sat there thinking about all the messages, and there's a lot of KPIs and analytics, and we're probably a lot alike like that. You know, I'm very passionate about finding a project or people, and we move forward with that. But when it all came down to it, it was like, hey, treat people right so that they'll treat your people right. And that was it. Like, but we dress it up in so many different ways, you know, or put so many metrics on it. And it's like, it all comes down to it. Just like take some time to really be good to people out there and help people progress, and you'll find that progression. So I'll have to come up with a new question to ask at the end.
You should keep doing that question. So if I understood,
I love the answer though.
If I understood you right, your question, I mean, so when you say, so if someone were to ask you, how would you measure your life? Your response would be, my relationship with God.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll ever change?
No.
So no matter what, that will always be how you'll measure your life.
That will be like I want everything I do in life to like build upon that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's like, how do I treat people at work? How do I see God's hand in my workplace? How am I treating my kids? Like, what am I doing to build up their relationship with me, and then to have them trust me that there is a God, and then them ultimately building a relationship with him. And, you know, but there's not a number on that. It's a relationship. At the end of the day, for me, life is about connection. And that connection matters most to me. It is the priority.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm curious to see how your life plays out. It seems like it's a it's a focus that's very specific, and it's very measurable for yourself to say, to just kind of reflect and ask yourself, what's my relationship like with God right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that I think I can see value in choosing something to focus on. Um, my curiosity just asks, like, I wonder if there will be life experiences that will change how you'll want to measure your life in, and it might not be like, oh, now it's like my relationship with my kids. I'm not saying changing the how you'll measure it. I guess what I'm saying is, like, it may evolve to be something else.
I think there's different like chapters of life, and like husband, father, like roles and responsibilities I have. Each one of those is like a chapter. And I think ultimately in each of those, I'm learning more about the character of God because I've been given responsibilities and pressure. And pressure is a privilege, you know, and pressure causes me to turn to a source outside of myself to find strength and ability and insight. And then I turn to people as well. I turn to people that I want to emulate and people that have gone before, that are mentors, and those that I seek out. Typically, I seek them out for their love of God and the lives that I see them living that connect them more fully with Him. But there's in every element of life, I feel like there's an opportunity to see God's hand and to witness that this is His plan, that this is His creation. We are His ultimate creation, and we get to experience co-creation with Him, with our children and our spouses. And so it's the focus may be at this chapter of life, we're just surviving with our kids, and how do we find a little bit of extra strength and power to do that?
Yeah.
And what should we learn through it all?
So it's not necessarily your relationship with God, because I mean it is, but you're what you're doing is you're taking it, all of it. You're taking the entire focus of your life and just saying, like, because anyone who, I guess what I'm trying to think is, like, anyone who believes in God, ultimately how they'll measure their life should be what's my relationship like with God. But I could ask you, like, well, what does that mean that your relationship with Jesus Christ doesn't matter? And what you'll say is, oh, they're one, and it's like all part of this idea of, like, how I measure my life with God will be, you know, a big part of that is how Jesus Christ. But like maybe talk to me about that for a second. Like, what about your relationship to Jesus?
He's the truth, the way, the light, right? And so in so many ways, like that becomes the source of my ability to have the relationship with God that I desire. And I approach God through Jesus Christ. And so, yeah, I had an experience with my father where in so many of these areas of life that both you and I experience as a business leader, as a husband, as a father, like there was a moment where I was like, I really need some extra help to feel guided, directed, to feel like I can succeed in these areas. And so my father and I both did a 24-hour fast. We prepared for what I was going to receive, a father's priesthood blessing from him. And we both were prepared for it. And we were requesting God's guidance in this, My dad's a long-winded guy like myself. I can, get rambling on things, especially on topics around faith. And he put his hands on my head and gave me the most simple blessing I've ever received. And it was short and it was sweet. And it was study the characteristics of Christ, apply them to your life. And in all ways, as a business leader, as a husband, as a father, a leader in your church community, you'll be blessed. And you'll see the hand of God in your life. And so Jesus Christ becomes the ultimate example for me to follow. And honestly, the only way that I am able to one day have the relationship I truly desire. We talk about, internalizing things. And I like the word eternalizing. Like, I just like to have a different perspective. When moments happen for me in life, where was God's hand in that, And I put it into an eternal perspective. But ultimately, yeah, Jesus Christ, is the one I follow and the one that I trust in, and that right now the youth theme for our church is walk with me. I'm trying to walk with him. There's times in the Bible you hear about people that walked no more with him, and we all do that. Again, it's discipleship is not about perfection, it's about direction, and sometimes our direction kind of strays off course for a moment. The best thing we can do is quickly get back on course as soon as we can, because I've just seen the peace and the comfort and confidence that brings in life, knowing that you are walking that path with him. And but yeah, I mean, I look at them, like you said, I would say, as one, individually separate, but no man cometh unto the Father but by Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And I trust in that. I not only trust in it, I believe it. I believe that is the path, and I believe that that's the course that will allow me that ultimate relationship with my Heavenly Father. And so, yeah, I have the perfect example to follow. And so one step leads to another. I believe that in fatherhood, I'm given an opportunity to experience the love of God in a different way than ever before, because I'm a father and I love my children. And if they make mistakes, I don't shun them. I gather them up and I love on them and I try to help them and, help them understand. I feel like God gives us that opportunity to live in similitude of him and how he loves us, and gives us every opportunity to come back and to be loved and to be welcomed in and not shunned by him, but shown that great capacity of love. And so, trying in different realms of life to understand him more fully. I believe that Jesus is the perfect leader, and that he, in so many ways, he knew who he was and why he was here, and because of that, he could lead with power and authority. And in business, I want to try to figure out, like, who am I for this organization, and why am I here? Why did we build this? What's the reason? What's the purpose? And then when you know who you are in a sea of sameness out there in the supplement world, when you know who you are, why you're here, you can lead with power and authority. And so defining that mission, defining the core values that kind of set the ground rules for how we're going to act, how we're going to conduct ourselves, how we're going to treat people, then people understand, okay, this is who they are. They don't stray from this. So, but Jesus Christ is that ultimate example and that guide and that way.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, it's all connected.
All connected.
But what made you choose God over Jesus? Just curious. Like, I'm not trying to press on you for any other reason, just to understand how your thought process went when you said, how I will measure my life will be my relationship to God. What made you choose God instead of saying how I will measure my life will be my relationship to Jesus Christ?
Because I think this whole opportunity on earth is it's part of God's work in his glory. He's the creator of it all, and then through his son Jesus Christ, he brought it to pass, his plan, and so ultimately in the end, like, that's what I feel, this relationship with God, and that Jesus Christ is the way to it. But and I love that God's demonstration of his love is by sending his son, and John 3:16, God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. So he gives us that opportunity to feel and know and understand his love by sending us his son Jesus Christ, the perfect example to follow. But it was Jesus Christ that said, I know your plan, and I'll go down. I'll be the Savior. But it was God's plan, and but they are one in purpose, in all that they're doing, in mission. And so I feel like I could say both of them. In the end, like it'll be a relationship with Jesus Christ and my Heavenly Father. And those promptings and nudges that you receive is the other member of the Godhead, the Holy Ghost, and the Spirit that guides us and directs us. It's like the whole purpose is one. And so I would say a relationship with the Godhead. But I just love God and his plan for us as his children, and the fact that he was willing to, because you have a son. Totally. I mean, think of that sacrifice that both were willing to make and to give. And I'm just so appreciative. In my life, I've come to find that that's what matters most for me, not just for this life, but for the eternities. And so I've got a very strong conviction that that's what I want to pursue. With all of my heart.
It's awesome. Yeah, sometime, and we don't have a lot of time. It seems like we've been talking for a while. I'd love to get your thoughts on God's love, because it's something that I've thought a lot about and would love to pick your brain on sometime.
Yeah. No, let's do it. We can do it off camera. We can do it. This has been good. I didn't know we've been going for almost 2 hours. What are your thoughts on God's love as we wrap this up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's I'm trying to develop a relationship with God. And when you say that how you're going to measure your life is your relationship to him, I'm trying to understand God, because there's not a lot. We don't have a lot on God. We have a lot on Jesus Christ and his life because he lived here. But, when it comes to God the Father, he's a very interesting being. And I often wonder, I've put this past my father before, because the relationship that I have with my father and the relationship, my father here on the earth, and the relationship that I have with my heavenly Father, I sometimes have compared those, and maybe that's not a fair comparison, because, it's, we're getting into some deep doctrinal discussions here, but I won't go too far down that path. The main thing I'm trying to say is, God has a personality, and it's fascinating for me to think that he's someone that you could get to know as a real person. And so figuring out who he is based on how he shows his love for his children and other things has been an interesting topic that I've thought a lot about, because I've looked at the way that he interacts with people on the earth in terms of what we have in the Bible and stuff. And it's been fascinating for me to see. I think the best way to sum it up is the plan that he has for us is very intentional, and he knows us individually, and he just knows 100% what's best for us. And everything, whether it's good or bad, is building us and shaping us to become the person that he needs us to be, and ultimately will get us to go back and live with him again. And that's, for me, that's the relationship that I hold on to. But then I have a lot of questions as I read the scriptures and find times where he's maybe a little more heavy-handed, or times where he holds justice and things in the balance. And for me, I've struggled with that as a father, when I parent, and trying to find ways to be a good dad without, having rules and holding people accountable and having consequences and all those things. That's the stuff that I want to learn more about, how Heavenly Father thinks and God thinks about those kinds of things, because I don't think it's as cut and dry as some people might think it is.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This could go pretty deep, and probably a lot of thoughts and feelings on all of this. But me and my son aren't exactly alike, but there's a lot that people could look at my son and say, he's Trevor Farnes' son. And one of the greatest compliments I get is when people say, you're Gary Farnes' son, my father who passed away. And it's like, wow, yeah, I would hope that you'd see my father in me, right? And in the most perfect way, I think when we look at the life of Jesus Christ, his whole purpose was to do the will of the Father. So he didn't do anything that was outside of what the Father himself would do, to provide a way to save us, to provide a way to love us, to provide a way to redeem us. And so I think in my way of approaching it, I look to the Son to experience the Father. And when I come to know the Son, I know the Father, and know that they are one. And so in my life, that's what I do to understand him, to understand his character, his personality, his will for us. And he does all things that the Father has asked him to do. And so I think we get to have a perfect example of what we'd experience in a father, our Heavenly Father, by looking to His Son. And that's the way that I approach that. And I'm grateful to know and feel of both of their love, their combined love, their combined will, desire for me, for my family, for you, your family, for the entire human race. You've been around the world. You've experienced people. It's interesting to walk the streets of different countries and to think, God knows them. He created them, loves them just as much as He loves me, you know, and it's just amazing. But I mean, maybe that's just a simple answer, but that's how I see the Father. It's through the Son.
Yeah. Do you get this spiritual on most of your podcasts, or is this anomaly?
No, it depends on the person. I typically don't have the person asking questions back like that I love.
Oh, sorry.
No, I absolutely love it. We just did one in Nashville, Tennessee, Franklin, Tennessee, with the photographer for the Reflections of Christ. I don't know if you've seen that work.
Yeah.
Mark Mabry. And I felt so bad because we were both asking each other questions. This is a podcast about him, and I ended up talking half the time, and he's like, "Hey, your people want to hear from you too, so I've got questions for you." So it's probably the second time we've kind of gone like this, a little bit around God. I always ask about God. And some questions are a little more surface level. Some dive into personal experiences that they've had and felt nudges or His love or promptings or whatnot. But I love to be tested and like, well, why? And why not that? And you know, and I think my answer will always stay the same. I think I'm just going to learn more about Him through the different chapters of life,
For sure,
and the journey, you know. And instead of saying God, it's Godhead. But I see it as one. I see it as one, you know.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
And I think it's all relationship based when all is said and done. I mean, I won't measure my life by a house or by a car or by the clothes I wear or the money in the bank account. That will all go away.
Yeah.
You know, and part of the discipline in life is to remember that there's some satisfaction in some of that. There's some comfort in some of that, and we can enjoy life. I think life is to be enjoyed. And you said you're a consumer of product. I like to consume as well, and I like to experience different things. And we like to travel as a family, and but I don't know. My mind is always ticking on like, what would God want us to see in this moment or in this experience, or and just to eternalize that. But thanks for the questions.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It's been a really good discussion, and I'm grateful that we covered the things we did. And yeah, I haven't normally like opened up, you know, in a connection to my business and my relationship with God. I haven't really connected those just because Nomatic's mission and vision and purpose has never been built around a religious facet. However, Jacob and I, early on when we started this, there was a conversation where we just said, we're going to put Him first and everything else will work its way out. And I don't know why God cares about this business. I don't know why He cares about Nomatic so much, but I can't tell you the number of times that I've seen His hand moving this business in the ways that it should, whether that's you know, for good or for bad. It's just all about the perception of the things we're facing. You never know until you look back whether or not those things were actually good or bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes the bad things end up being some of the best things that you ever could have experienced.
I love it. And I think you read in Scripture, you hear about monstrous waves, and you hear about the depths of the sea and the stormy seas or whatnot, the wind that blows furiously, like the darts. You know, a lot of that is speaking of pushing a people to a better place, to a promised land. You know, and so that's what I've experienced in life when we're out on the stormy seas. There's something to that, and my wife and I, we've found the Savior in those storms, you know, and it's been an incredible opportunity. And I would say the Mountain Ops team and community, it's very diverse. It's not necessarily about religion. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. but when we talk about recognizing God in the workplace, it's more about faith, and it's more about trust, and it's about recognizing God's hand. And I know that he loves when those who he blesses and is helping in life recognize his hand, just like a father. You can tie it all back to even your own experiences when your kids recognize, thank you, Dad, like that was incredible. Like, you're welcome. Like, what else can we do? You know, like let's go conquer this life together. But oftentimes we forget to recognize where the source of those blessings are coming from, or the little nudges or the pit in our stomach. And when we do, I think he appreciates, and there's promised blessings for doing so. And so, yeah, it's a lot about faith and trust in a higher power. And a lot of our listeners will call that different things. You know, a lot of them it's God, it's Jesus Christ, it's the Lord, it's higher ground, it's the universe, whatever they, you know. Mm-hmm. But I love that people will turn to a higher power in their lives and trust that there is an ability to find strength through. Because look at the chaotic world we live in. I mean, there's something to hold fast to that is never changing, and but also, you know, he lets us have our agency to choose, and he lets us experience things in life that will push us sometimes to the limits. But I don't think he'll ever give us anything that we're not able to overcome, especially with his help. So
for sure.
But thanks for the awesome conversation, man. Yeah,
it's been a lot
appreciate
of fun.
it. Yeah, this has been the ConquerCast. I love how this has ended.
If you listen this long, you are a true disciple, a fan.
If you've listened this long, comment how will you measure your life, and
or how will you not measure
or
your
if
life?
or if you even like that question, or the book. Anyways, thanks, John. Appreciate you, man.
That was great.